Fuck you to the whites. Here we go. Look at this fat ass. 614 likes, 60 dislikes. Dolamore. Oh god. 29,000 subs. Interested in moving the conversation forward? Tired of the ridiculous and radical sides of issues? So is Jesse Dolamore. Join him and his co-host Brittany. God. This is terrible.
I am Jesse Dollamore with the Occupy Democrats Report.
I like my pronunciation better. Dolamore. Oh, More. Oh, Dolamore.
Listen, do you still think that white privilege doesn't exist?
What a douchebag. Okay, so this guy is like coming at me with just this weird used car salesman kind of like, he reminds me of a regional commercial. And it's just like, come on down. I'm selling, the best furniture prices in town. Throws up the cheesy graphic with the white privilege. And he's got this jacket, but no tie. I never understood. That's the Cenk Uygur look. But it's also because he's too kind of fat and his neck is just, it kind of would get pinched. And so it's like, just wear a tie. Like, what look is this? It's like, well, he is a little bit professional. He's trying to dress up. I mean, it looks like he's worn a suit outside of this YouTube show maybe 3 times in his life for like a wedding and 2 funerals. But that sounds like a movie. But it's like, dude, you're not, hey man, he speaks to us millennials, because he's not wearing a tie. Nah, he's not just some suit. This guy knows his shit.
Only hours ago, the Bundys and their gang of paranoid, gun-crazed domestic terrorists.
And this guy's not radical. This is the moderate voice. So they're a gang of radical, say it again?
Domestic terrorists, gun-crazed domestic, gun-crazed gang of paranoid, gun-crazed domestic terrorists.
That's quite a lot of rhetoric there. Paranoid, gun-crazed domestic terrorists. Although none of them have been charged with an act of terror. And they don't have any record of being terrorists. So, could have called them protesters, but no, didn't. And they're gun crazed? What's the difference between being a legal gun owner and being gun crazed? Okay, these guys live in the wilderness on ranches in eastern Oregon. They're not riding a bike to, an office in downtown San Francisco carrying machine guns. Like, there's no cultural sort of understanding that these people come from a slightly different neck of the woods. But look at the vilification. Look at the joy that he takes in saying, look, fuck white people. And look, I don't have the privilege. It's so stupid. All this is jealousy. How about just white success? You still don't think white success is a real thing? Hey, Zuckerberg, man, he's got millions. What the fuck? He went to Harvard. His parents hooked him up. Unbelievable. He's got a sister. You know what she's doing? She's doing real well is what she's doing. She's a real estate agent. I don't know. I'm speculating. Can you believe that? White people are doing well? They're successful? Stunning. How is that fair, world? Fuck them. Fuck the Japanese and fuck the Germans. Why are they doing well too? Fuck the Indians and American. Definitely fuck the Jews. They're doing well. In other words, if the Jews, let's say the Jews were not doing well. Let's say the economy of Israel was that of Bangladesh. Do you think that they would receive the scorn, the international attention that they're getting? No. It's jealousy. Pure and simple. That's it. Play.
We're let off scot-free.
Ooh, scot-free. Say that 10 more times.
Free. Off scot-free. 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 Let off scot-free.
Whoa. Did Scott go to jail or was he let off?
Scot-free. Scott.
Is Scott jailed?
Scot-free.
Scott prison?
Scot-free.
Scott what?
Of scot-free.
Irish free?
Scot-free. Scot-free.
God, what an aggressive fuck. Can you imagine being in this guy's life? And at any point, he could take this tone with you.
We're let off scot-free.
So you're ordering coffee with him? And you're like, excuse me, sir, would you like the grande or the tall? I want the grande! The grande! Yeah, do you have a name I could put on this? It's Scott. What part of Scott do you not understand?
By a federal court, while peaceful Native American protesters...
Oh, peaceful Native American. Look at that moo-moo. Standing Rock to the Gulf. I have not been following this case because I don't care at all. But I have a strong inclination that this is a lot of virtue signaling and that these people are breaking the law and being dealt with the way most protesters or people who are obstructing whatever construction is, they have the legal right to have. It's just normal. In fact, I think this guy is about to say that these people had dogs and tasers used against them. Well, yeah, that happened in Oregon too. But he wants to cherry pick and pretend it doesn't happen. It's just amazing. Like, imagine the notion of saying these white people get let off scot-free, and the reason is because they're white. Just complete overlook the entirety of the case, every detail. It doesn't even matter. What were they charged with? Who cares? The point is they were white and they're free now. I mean, it is so mind-numbingly retarded, this outlook. And these people, they're proud of themselves. They think they've solved the riddle to the universe. And the answer all along, it was right in front of us. It was fuck white people. The whole system's rigged for white people. Here's a news flash. Do you know that millions of white people go to jail every year? They get arrested and convicted of crimes, and they go to jail. Now, where does that fit into this paradigm? How do we account for that? Seriously, somebody tell me. Do you want me just to illustrate the point, show you 100 cases in a row where white people were convicted and go to jail? Oh, well, Devon, yeah, but that's different because on those cases, there was evidence that would lead you to believe that they did the crime, and so the jury was convinced on the evidence of those. Okay, so when they go to jail, it has nothing to do with race. But when they get let off, it has everything to do with race. Jesus Christ, guys.
North Dakota had attack dogs set upon them and saw their children tasered.
Oh, God. This guy's, the way he talks is so punchy, so aggressive. Yeah, attack dogs. And didn't I tell you when I showed you the Oregon video that if it was anybody else, if the people were people of color, you'd see it plastered everywhere. And here you go. There it is. I mean, the exact same situation happened in Oregon. And he's showing this in comparison to the Oregon situation. And they had attack dogs and tasers in Oregon.
Tasered.
And they also killed one of the people. Now, if any of these Native Americans got shot and killed, that's all you'd hear about. And so they'll still try to compare these two things. Apples and oranges. But it's even worse because what happened in the Oregon case is way worse. Human bodies were hitting the floor. Dude is dead. Okay, and they were peaceful protesters, and yes, dogs and tasers were used.
While simply trying to protect their sacred native lands.
Oh, everything's sacred. Do Indians have any piece of land that is not a goddamn burial ground? It's not sacred? They think all of Earth is sacred. So just spare me the friggin' poetry with it's sacred. Defend the sacred. Look at this sign. That looks like a Rage Against the Machine concert. God, so sanctimonious. People just like, oh, it's the biggest deal in the pipeline. Who fucking cares? God, why are people where is this guy from? Do you think he cares about this? It's nothing is fair and balanced in this world. That's why that expression is a joke. It's because these people have no motivation to be balanced. He doesn't care. He just wants to sit up here with his goddamn ginger fat head. Talk about a jar head. That looks like a friggin' potato. It's a full potato. This is full Kevin Logan here. Grotesque.
And burial grounds.
Yes, I told you, everything's a burial ground. Man. Maybe it's because we killed so many of them. They had to bury the body somewhere. And it's come back to haunt us because now everything's a sacred burial ground.
Does that seem like justice to you? Native...
What is this? Mr. October on my hot Native American calendar?
People at Standing Rock in North Dakota and peaceful Black Lives Matter protesters.
He brings in the blacks. Just make sure it's just a trifecta of virtue signaling. Yeah, oh, you really shamed us, boy. Wow. Look at you. projecting your white guilt, just sorting through it live and on air. The Black Lives Matter. It's so amazing that you'd show this just innocent woman. Oh, who put that tape on her mouth? Was it a white man? Are we trying to shut her up? You could have shown one of those dudes shooting up cops who were sympathetic to Black Lives Matter, or you could have shown the clip of the guy saying, oh, if you see a cop, shoot him. Yeah, you could have shown that, but you didn't. But I guess you care about black people too, huh? I guess you're going to talk about the biggest threat to black people, which is other black people. Is that going to come up here? You're going to point the finger, your chubby, fat, orange finger at black people and be like, hey, I really care about you people, so I want the subset of you who are killing the other blacks among you to stop that. Oh, yeah, no. You're not going to do that because you're a putz.
Around the nation, they're met with smear campaigns, propaganda.
Oh, look at how dare you. All lives matter? What kind of Nazis would say such a thing? Can you imagine that? Imagine just walking into a kindergarten and saying, kids, lesson for today is that all lives matter. We're all human beings and all of our lives matter. You fucking terrorist. Get out.
And violence.
Show me that picture. Let's see, which part of the sentence I didn't do nothing is he saying right there? And look at that. Amazing that you would cherry pick a picture where it's all white cops. Just chubby white policemen. I wonder if there are pictures of people of color who are cops dealing with black people. Or I guess it's a racial thing, huh? So it's the white cops versus the blacks? Is that what it is? Or is it the black cops? Is it more difficult to show a picture of a black cop dealing with some violent protester? I mean, clearly this protest probably did do something. That's the beauty of it. But he doesn't care about this event. Like, we're never going to learn what this guy did. He's not going to be like, and this picture was taken, and here's the footage. This guy did absolutely nothing. His civil rights were violated. No, he probably did do something and deserves to have been handled in this manner. And he's upset because he got caught. Because he was mouthing off. Because he was, he's a punk. Whatever. But he doesn't care because the picture is worth 1,000 words. Just throw up the picture. You get the drift. It's fuck whites. That's what it is.
While an armed standoff in an attempt.
Armed standoff, yeah. Okay, armed standoff in the middle of nowhere at a bird sanctuary. Uh-huh.
In an attempt to inspire a civil war.
Oh, come on. Oh, my God. Okay, first of all, he had to bring in the Native Americans. So let's walk this back. The video starts, he's talking about the Bundy acquittal. And he's saying white privilege is real because these white people got off. Now, millions of white people don't get off, and perhaps these white people had a reason to not get off because they didn't commit the crime they were charged with committing. But now I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to compare it to Native Americans because, well, I love Native Americans, and I sympathize and I side with them. And also, let's bring in the blacks. And here's a picture of cops mishandling blacks and Civil War. Remember that? Remember what that was about? It was about slavery. So just want to tie it all together. Now, please explain to me how the Bundy Ranch protest and occupation of that building was requiring or requesting a civil war. What in the fuck are you talking about? That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. I mean, that case is so damn boring, and they know it's boring, and that's why they don't want to delve into it. Because once you get into the minutia and you realize, oh my God, the ranchers were right. They have a really good case against the federal government. In fact, fuck the feds. And by the way, the feds are white, and the feds lost that case. Okay, so what was it's really amazing. I was listening to Jenk talk about this again too. So their idea is that, look, it's white privilege that these dudes got let off, even though the prosecution was white and the feds are white. So the federal government, the people that work there, that entire side of the case, all white, they all lost. Now, that's not white privilege that they lost. That's just sort of, let's not talk about the fact that white people lost. But here is the theory. The theory is once they saw the dudes give testimony, the jury looked at them, the judge looked at them, and they said, oh, man, they're white. They're like me. I understand these guys. So because I'm racist, because I see them as my brothers, my sisters, I'm just going to let them off. So everybody's racist up there. That's the idea. And, you know, at the end, I'm sure the prosecution just went, you know what? We had a case where our careers are going to take a hit for this. You know, we lost a high profile case and we really wanted to send these guys to jail for conspiracy. But, you know what? Good Lord, you made a good point. They are white after all. That's how they envisioned this happening. By the way, at the end of the court case, I think one of the prosecutors tackled the defense attorney and like was just in a totally pissed, but whatever.
Led by the infamous anti-American.
Infamous. Yeah, he's Billy the Kid all of a sudden. Infamous anti-American. No, these guys were talking about the Constitution. They care about America quite a bit, actually. They are patriots. I mean, yeah, these guys are not guys that I'm going to be, you know, hanging out with anytime soon. They are culturally way different than me. I'm sure their musical tastes, their temperaments, their, you know, the things they're into, they probably chew tobacco. Okay, we get that. They are a different brand of guy, but that does not mean they're villains. It doesn't mean they're infamous. This guy's the most soft-spoken dude. Have you ever seen this guy talk? It's unbelievable. Well, I mean, I'll show you this shit. Watch this. Here's him talking to a sheriff. I gotta find it. You know what's funny? When I look for stuff, I only look at the pictures. Now here. Here's this infamous anti-American, crazed, paranoid militia member. You ready? Buckle your seatbelt. So this is the sheriff. They're meeting outside of town. They both brought armed guards, and here we go.
I just want to come out and offer you guys the opportunity to help you get out and get home and resolve this thing peacefully. That's
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a real Osama vibe off of him. He's a menacing presence, you know. Somebody's got to stop him.
I'm willing to get you an escort all the way out of the state. And I think that there's been some positive stuff that's come out of this. I'll tell you, I've talked with congressmen, senators, governors, and the thing that I can say is right now that I think that there's some positives that can come out of this. And I think that the people of the county are excited about working out issues that come from government overreach and that. But before this thing turns into something negative, which would ruin all of that, I think we need to find a peaceful resolution and help you guys get out of here.
And people look at this and they're like, man, this is bullshit. Why isn't that cop killing this man? Well, they haven't committed a violent crime of any kind. Yeah, they're occupying a remote building under a protest for constitutional rights of ranchers. It's not exactly violent thuggery taking place here. And it's like, well, they own guns. Yeah, everybody owns guns up there. Newsflash. There's a difference between owning guns and carrying a gun and shooting a gun. Big difference. And they didn't shoot anybody.
Yeah, I know that I got about 100 kids myself, so.
Yeah, we're here for the people of Harney County. We're here because the people were ignored. And we got, how many hours and letters and redresses and.
This guy has the temperament of a substitute teacher for a kindergarten. This guy runs a daycare center. Oh, we're here for the people of Harney County, and we've been trying to be heard, but we've been ignored a bit.
And so forth, that we're not even recognized at all. There's no response at all.
There's no response. We tried to we were hoping for a response, but then with at least we'll get a response. We couldn't even get that. I'm hoping to get a tri-response, but I don't even want to feel like sending an email again.
And it's like, what do you expect the people to do if they're bringing up legitimate concerns?
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, the legitimate concern part. I can't even emphasize this enough. You go dive into the story, you will find that these guys are completely right. They have a great case. And so, yeah, the feds are fucking up. By the way, the feds are white. Okay, primarily white, especially in this region. We're in a white state here. And I love how people look at a state like this and dealing with this confrontation and in a peaceful way, in a sensible way where they're trying to minimize any sort of violence, and they're just like, look, let's be civilized about this. And people are like, that's bullshit. Like, all they're saying is, we're jealous that we can't have that in our community. Now, it's not so cut and dry. There are differences in the situations. Okay? Now, if you swap the race out with these people, they all claim that they just walk in guns blazing and kill the black people. That would not happen. And by the way, nobody talks about Waco. Waco doesn't get brought up in any of this. Waco was a bunch of white dudes holed up, bunkered up, and they got incinerated. So I guess no white privilege in Waco. Is that how it works?
That, as you know, that people across the nation are bringing up those concerns now. That's the big topic. And yet, Sheriff, you would not address those concerns. You would not recognize that the people had those concerns, and then you just simply chose to ignore them.
I'm here because the citizens of Harney County have asked me to come out and ask you folks to peacefully leave. And I think that you respect their wishes. And I want to help you guys get out of here. I'll get you a safe escort out.
We're getting ignored again, Sheriff.
I didn't come to argue. I just came to offer you guys peaceful resolution.
Okay.
So
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And,
Sheriff.
Have you ever felt like there was anything other than a peaceful resolution desired?
This guy's calling him out. He's like, you understand we're peaceful dudes. We're not looking to have a gun battle with you, right?
I worry about anything going south out here. I worry as much about you guys as anybody else. And so
we do not want anything. We're being peaceful.
Right now,
how many terrorists do you know say we don't want any trouble? We're just being peaceful. This is about the issues, and we're just trying to get attention for our issue. It's no big deal.
We're at a point where some buildings have been occupied. Right. Nobody's been hurt.
Exactly.
I feel comfortable talking to you guys. I've always felt comfortable.
Because you're a motherfucking racist, and you're going to let them off scot-free. Scot-free, you're a racist. That's why you feel comfortable, because they look like they could be your brothers. I mean, you have the same facial hair, for God's sakes. Oh, God. White devils. In Quincy Wocha. Right here. You just saw total white privilege and racism occur right before your goddamn eyes.
Sitting down with you. But, at some point, this is all going to have to be resolved. And I think right now, while it's on a positive note, let's work it out. Let's get our community back to normal.
And they did work it out. I mean, that's the beauty of it. So even with all the hysteria, and everybody was hoping to God that this was going to be the white Al-Qaeda. And that's why the Young Turks called them Yal-Qaeda. Comparing this group, who have a death count, a grand total death count of 0. Okay? They've done as minimal amount of shit you can do to get a national spotlight put on you. And for no reason. And all of that was just fueled by the anti-white bigotry sentiment that is prevalent in our nation. Okay? So this situation does get handled. The one guy, Lavoy Finicum, he was being just a stubborn, mule about giving up his gun, and he pulled a gun on some cops and got shot. Now, that was dumb, but he had I don't know, in his head, he felt like he was going out. Like, he just was kind of ready to go. And so it was a self-fulfilling destiny. He wanted that to happen, and he ensured that it would.
Let's work on the issues at hand. I've told congressmen and senators that the people want to be heard, and I'm certain they will be. But
so how about the redress agreement?
That's where we're at. If you guys are ready to go home,
is going to be acknowledged.
I'm not here to talk about all that. I'm here to talk about offering you guys the opportunity to leave the county peacefully, get back to your families.
So,
and
the redress of grievances is a non-issue, essentially.
I'm here to say
redress of grievances was issued, and the
yeah, he's like, look, I just want you guys to get the fuck out, because this is a headache. We got a lot of pressure on us, and we just gotta get you out. And he's like, well, we're here for a reason. We have a bunch of grievances, and you gotta check them out. And he's like, I don't care. I don't want to talk about it.
The government, in order to be legitimate in these United States, must acknowledge a redress of grievances from the citizens, especially when they're from all 50 states and well over 100,000 signatures to that redress, then you have an obligation as a public servant to address those issues. So that's kind of the point here, isn't it?
Address my grievances, sir.
And that's what got us here. We tried the prudent methods. We petitioned our representatives, and we gave them notice, and they did not even respond.
Well, I'll tell you what, the representatives out here are listening, and I bet yours are too. So
And that has been
why don't
a
we
good
take
thing.
it through those channels and start getting some stuff resolved?
See, this is the boring details of what actually happened, and this is why the situation got resolved eventually. And you could understand both sides. I mean, the cop, he doesn't give a shit, but he's like, look, dude, let's not get crazy with this stuff. You guys are clearly not messing around. You have guns. We don't want it to turn to a bloodbath. But you listen to these guys. They're like, look, it's peaceful. We're just making a point. We're trying to get your attention because we've tried every other method. Because we're actually in the right. We're actually getting screwed by the federal government. Now, the details matter. So if these guys had shot people up, then it would be a totally different situation. Totally different. But they didn't. This is as minor a charge that you can get. And if you look at the actual charge, it was ridiculous. The charge was a conspiracy to impede the federal workers at a bird sanctuary. And these people are acting like these people are a bunch of serial killers. That's just ridiculous.
Well, I think that we are doing that, but that we also must continue to do that. And I think that we pose no threat to the community. And
I mean, look at this guy. His nature, his demeanor, compared to the white ginger-headed potato-faced fuck that we're listening to, this guy seems like a freaking teddy bear. I want to cuddle this man. The other guy I'm scared about.
in fact, there have been, I don't know, probably a couple hundred people at this point from the community, from Burns and from surrounding community, that have come down into the refuge, that have spoken to us for many hours. Most of them.
Yeah, he's like, dude, we're doing interviews. We're doing tours. We got school children coming in doing book reports on us. I mean, we're peaceful guys here. This is not...
And we've communicated. We pose no threat to the community whatsoever at all. It's time to get the schools open. Let your community get back to living. We do not pose a threat.
That's what I'm asking for.
But that can be done without us leaving.
Well,
We're not.
That can be done without us
the
leaving.
problem I see with that, and I'm not going to argue with you, is that you guys have both told me yourselves that you can't guarantee the things that other people that come here on behalf of these things might do. And so, on behalf of the citizens...
Oh, God, that's loud. So, yeah, he's saying, look, I hear what you guys are saying, but there's like 100 other dudes that have showed up. These random right-wing dudes. Like John Ritzheimer. He flew in from Arizona talking about, this is my constitutional duty. And, yeah, that's a good point. Those people are a little bit whack-jobbed.
I don't want it to come to any of that.
We mean no harm to anybody. Absolutely not. And the community
I don't believe you do, but if it only takes one unstable person to show up, and we know that. That's what I'm getting at. I'm not calling you unstable.
But that can happen in any community, in any area. That could happen even if we laughed.
But I'm here to offer safe escort out.
A reasonable conversation, and yet it's too boring for the mainstream. Get to the point. Show me an attack dog and a black. Compare it to a Native American. Compare it to a Muslim. It's just fuck whites. Let's get to the bottom line here, guys. We are driven by emotion, not reason. Ho! All right, so let's get back to the smear campaign. What was he again? So now you know the guy. Let's hear how he describes him. This guy's like 1,000% more scary.
Civil war led by the infamous anti-American right-wing extremists in an attempt to inspire a civil war.
Yeah, that's exactly what I got from that conversation. They're like, the South shall rise again. And I just was not very happy about the Emancipation Proclamation. And enough is enough. It's time to musk it up. And we're doing this. No.
Led by the infamous anti-American right-wing extremist Eamon Bundy. And
there's nothing extreme. He's extremely cuttable. Cuttable? Cute? What was I trying to say? Huggable. Cuddly? Cuddlicious? Cunnilingus.
his family, which terrified an entire nation, is met with not even.
Not even! Oh my God! This guy's a right-wing paranoid extremist. Look at this.
Even.
Ooh.
Even.
Okay, pop quiz. Is the number 2 an odd number or an even number?
Even.
Ooh. What rhymes with Stephen?
Even.
Have you ever? How do you pronounce the name Longoria? What's her first name?
Even.
I think it's Ava.
Even.
Oh.
Not.
Even. Stephen.
Even. A slap on. Not even. A slap on the wrist by our criminal justice system. White privilege. Folks.
Right. White and privilege. Why did they make it like a kid drew this? What? So wait, just little children, just I'm white and privileged. I'm gonna wear the sticker around. Tra la 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 la. I go to a better preschool than you. La 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 la. No metal detectors in my preschool. Suck my white ball sack.
And don't even get me started about the criminals on Wall Street who are walking around free.
Oh, look at this. There's no blacks on Wall Street. I like that. I love it. Wall Street is just a dominated by, and what? So wait, Wall Street bankers, they get away with the shit they get away with because whiteness? No, it's because of money. If you know anything about business doesn't give a shit about color. They capitalize on whoever. It doesn't matter. Go ask the owner of the Clippers if he cares about color when it comes to the bottom line. It's like, good Lord. Dollars is the answer. It's not fucking race.
Free after 0 prosecutions and allowed to continue picking on the economic carcass of our once great American middle class.
Right, so basically he's saying there are no people of color on Wall Street. That's the first part of this argument. Absolutely bonkers. It's insane to me. It's just like, how is this a point?
Even after bringing the entire world economy to its knees.
What a dick.
Look, it's about time that our justice system stop picking on the marginalized,
disenfranchised. He just put those two back to back. The two of the most meaningless words. When you put them next to each other, I'm surprised it didn't rip a hole in the space-time continuum.
disadvantaged, and
disadvantaged. Again, jealousy. Disadvantaged. Wait, so if somebody doesn't have the same advantages, let's say you're born to a crack mother with no father. Okay, that's a disadvantage. But to say that they are disadvantaged almost implies that somebody applied a disadvantage to them. So it's like, look, there are some white people who are born into shitty families. How about that chick we just saw? She had a terrible dad who was very abusive to her, and now she's smoking pot on YouTube. Okay? She was disadvantaged, but she's white, so how does it make sense? I don't know. Let's not cover it and pretend it doesn't exist.
Underrepresented, and started going after the real criminals who pillage and destabilize our...
Pillage! Civil war and pillaging. I got news for you. There hasn't been much pillaging in the last couple of years. Oh my Lord. I mean, if you want to talk pillaging, talk about looting and rioting. And you know who's doing that? Oh, I think you do.
Country without consequence.
What a terrible YouTube channel that is.